Hi guys, I'm Ashley.
And I'm Liz.
And we're back here on Dancing in the Kitchen. We're continuing our prenatal nutrition theme, and we've got an exciting guest for you today, Ms. Madilyn Bailey.
Hi.
And Madilyn is a singer-songwriter, and she also is a recent new mom.
I am.
So we're going to talk to her about both today.
Yes, all things mom.
Yeah. So let's dive in, I think, first just with pregnancy and motherhood and nutrition. What was your pregnancy like?
My pregnancy was wonderful. So I have a disease called endometriosis, and while I was pregnant, I had zero symptoms. So my pain went away, my food intolerances went away, so I was able to eat dairy and gluten and eggs for the first time in like so many years. And then I also decided to release an album that year as well, which you'd think when you're pregnant, bad idea to like start a whole project, but it was actually perfect timing because I've never felt better in my entire life.
And did the endometriosis, was it hard to get pregnant because of that?
Yeah, it was very hard. Yeah. So 3.5 years ago, I was officially diagnosed with endometriosis. I went in with just the worst pain I'd ever experienced. I had a cyst that had ruptured on one of my ovaries, and finally got the diagnosis that I'd been looking for years and years and years. But then, of course, with that diagnosis comes the reality of it's going to likely be very hard to get pregnant. You've had this disease for 15 plus years, and you don't know how much damage has been done to your body. And so we went down the route of IVF, and we created some embryos, and we tried one transfer that didn't work. And then we had one embryo left, and we were like, let's just go for it. We have other plans this year too, but you never know. And we got our little miracle.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Well, and that's so fascinating because, I mean, sort of both sides of that. We talk a lot about mood and mental health on this show, and especially in talking about prenatal nutrition, pregnancy, motherhood, maternal mental health, and what a big topic that is right now. Right. There's so many challenges that new moms go through, and the trying to conceive journey, I mean, can be just as challenging for mental health as becoming a new mom and, you know, all of those adjustments. So I find it really interesting. You've kind of got two sides here of like your pregnancy was wonderful because you'd been suffering with these symptoms, and also the trying to conceive journey, I can only imagine, was maybe anxiety provoking or challenging in some ways. So I'd just be curious to know more about sort of how both sides of that, trying to conceive and then becoming a new mom, affected your mood and mental health.
Right. I feel like the trying to get pregnant I was still able to do a lot of things I would normally do with my life. Like a week after my first egg retrieval, I filmed a music video. So I was very, very much like fast-paced. Even while I was pregnant, like I said, I released an entire album. I filmed 6 videos, did photo shoots, interviews. Like, I was feeling good. And then as soon as I had the baby, I would say was when my life slowed down very drastically. I was able to take a good amount of time postpartum to just be a mom, adjust. I had 2 months off of work, which was lovely. But by the time the 2 months were up, I was like itching to get back to work, but then it was such an adjustment to figure out scheduling and time, because I want to be able to spend time with my baby, but I want to be able to be creative and work and be in the studio and create stuff. And then also still 2 months postpartum is like, mentally, fresh. You're just kind of a mess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, so the phrase I wish I had heard on my postpartum journey was 9 months in, 9 months out. My baby is now 10 months old, almost 10 months old, and I'm finally feeling like my old self again and like back in my own brain. And
had you heard that?
I have, and it's
never
this
heard
idea that it takes you 9 months to grow a baby, so it's sort of silly to think it's going to take like 6 weeks in your back, right?
Give yourself 9 months
in 9 months.
Your spine changed shape, your pelvic floor is different, like working out's going to feel different. But I wish I had heard it, because I had only heard it a month ago, and I went, oh, well, that makes sense. I wish I had been, because then I could have maybe been a little gentler on myself. Like I wanted to get back mentally to a place where I could be creative and write stuff. And then physically, I also wanted to get to a place where I just felt like myself in my own body again. Because, during the IVF process, it's like, I gave my body to the process for 2 years, different doctor appointments, needles, invasive surgeries, and then I'm pregnant for 9 months. I'm literally sharing my body with somebody, and then postpartum, then I'm breastfeeding. So I'm literally giving everything I have to someone else. And then, 9 months in, 9 months out.
It is
Sounds like a lot.
Yeah, I felt sort of rudely awakened with my second, where I guess I had just sort of forgotten how time consuming breastfeeding is and how like attached the baby was going to be to me all the time. I kind of had it in my mind, like, I'll just be wearing the baby and being with my toddler and like nothing will really change. This time in, I'm keeping that in mind.
Yeah, you're better now.
Yeah.
Now you have two, and then you'll have one on you. So
Yeah.
it'll be a lot different.
Yeah, I've definitely found for me, as I've expanded my family, that the whole like village thing and making sure I have a team and I have support is like, it's not an option anymore. Like, it's essential.
Necessary.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I don't think there would be any way for me to do it without having like that village, because I can't simultaneously take care of 3 kids while recovering from birth and like.
Right,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So let's talk a little bit more about your nutrition. So obviously, like, your diet changed in a really interesting way where you were able to enjoy foods that you normally didn't. Were there specific foods you included or specific foods you avoided, both just for enjoyment and also, thinking about nurturing your baby, nurturing your body during pregnancy?
Yeah, so I was taking vitamins and supplements to make sure I was filling all the gaps, but I'm not gonna lie, I had a lot of fun while I was pregnant. I kind of like ate whatever I wanted to. But I would say I very much leaned into intuitive eating while I was pregnant in a way I've never done before. Like if I was craving watermelon, it's like, we're eating watermelon for the next week, that's what we're doing. You know, I couldn't, meat was really gross for some reason, just the smell of it was revolting, so I ate a lot of tofu instead, which love tofu, so it's great for me.
Do you feel like any of the changes that you made during pregnancy have like continued on as you become a new mother?
Well, before I got pregnant, I had kind of figured out a new diet that worked with my endometriosis, and so then once I was postpartum, I kind of got back on that diet as well, and it's been amazing. It's called low FODMAP diet, but it's also anti-inflammatory as well. But it's just, it's been a game changer. Yeah,
Amazing.
Did your symptoms come back?
they did as soon as I stopped breastfeeding.
Bummer.
I know. Oh,
Yeah, it's rough.
but yeah,
But it's good that you know what helps.
right.
Yeah. I'm curious too, I mean, you've kind of touched on it in terms of like wanting to get back to work and trying to balance the demands of motherhood and your career, but I was curious how your career has impacted your path to becoming a mother and your motherhood experience, and sort of vice versa, how motherhood has changed or impacted your career.
Well, I was terrified when I got pregnant that it was gonna like, all I'd wanna be is a mom, or all I'd have time to think about was being a mom. And maybe I would lose myself to the process a little bit, but I think it's actually really helped with my creativity, because until now it was like, oh, I'm just inspired in this moment, it's time to go into the studio and write something. But now it's a lot more adult. It's like, oh, I have this window to be creative, and so it makes my creative time so much more special, because I'm like, oh, I really have to like embrace these next 4 hours, because it's all I got today, you know.
That makes sense.
So I'd say the work I've been doing in that time, it just feels kind of from a deeper place. I don't know, becoming a mom is just like, I feel like anytime you open yourself up to a new level of love, it's like just like all the emotions get bigger as well, and you're able to just feel so many more things.
Well, I relate to that so much. Like, I know, especially with my first, when I became a mom, it was like my priorities became so much more clear. And, you know, sort of silly, but things like, oh, I'm not gonna just drive to Malibu for lunch on a whim. Like, it really changed my relationship with money too, because it was like, okay, I need to be making like at least twice, if not 3 or 4 times more than the nanny's making every time I leave my kid with someone else. Like, I have to be thinking about the value and like, what am I doing with my time? And is it worth it to be paying someone else to watch my kid while I am devoting myself to whatever this thing is? Like, one, is it valuable in terms of, is this worth being away from my kid for? And 2, is it valuable in terms of like, I'm actually making more doing this than I would be to just, you know, stay home and take care of my kid and not pay someone.
Right.
So that was kind of a big mental shift for me. And then additionally, my identity of who I thought I would be as a mom versus who I actually was and am. And so for me, my mom was like a stay-at-home mom. I don't remember being with babysitters hardly at all. You know, it was my mom or like sometimes my grandparents. And I thought I would probably want to be like that and just be with my kids 24/7. And I actually found that for my sanity, I am much better if I'm working part-time.
Me too. Yeah, me too.
Did you have an idea of like who you thought you would be as a mom?
Yeah, I think I had a very similar experience.
Dance, dance, dance.